Later, when she taught me her movement technique, I thought she was someone with strong principles. For her to make such a request now truly caught me off guard. But when I thought about it carefully, if I were in her position and had been treated the way the Dragon King had treated her, I'd probably react even more intensely. Years of pent-up grievances, all ignited by today's wedding announcement, it had become the final straw. "You're asking me to take you away?" I blurted out. "Yes. As long as it's away from him, anywhere will do," she replied with a nod. Her eyes seemed to gleam with renewed hope for a different life. For the first time, she seemed like an actual woman. It reminded me of the night she first taught me her movement technique, when I tasted the food she had cooked. It was a moment of rare comfort. I fell into silent contemplation. Honestly, for a fleeting moment, I was tempted. Because this would be the perfect way to get back at the Dragon King. Imagine the scene, on the day of the Yellow River Dragon King's grand wedding, with all the notable figures from the mortal world gathered, I steal away his fiancée right under his nose. What kind of expression would he have? And how would the guests react? Overnight, the mortal world would be abuzz with another scandal about the Yellow River Dragon King. The ruler of the Yellow River humiliated on his wedding day. His fiancée stolen by some mysterious youth right in front of everyone. Such news would surely shake the entire mortal plane. The Yellow River Dragon King would undoubtedly become a laughingstock. Just the thought of it filled me with a strange excitement. But I quickly suppressed that fleeting impulse. First of all, if I did that, would I still be able to retrieve the remaining dragon blood 10 days after the wedding? Second, did I even have the strength to pull off something so audacious, stealing the Water Palace lady away from the Yellow River Dragon Palace in front of everyone? With my current power, it was nearly impossible. I had been treading carefully for 18 years, walking on thin ice. Now that such a rare opportunity had presented itself, I needed to be even more cautious. Otherwise, everything I'd worked for could collapse in an instant. "You could leave on your own. No one would be able to stop you," I said. After all, she could simply leave the Yellow River Dragon King behind, abandon her identity as the Water Palace lady, and find some secluded place to cultivate for a few centuries. The Yellow River Dragon King might not even be able to find her. Why would she need me to help her? "Do you really think I can leave?" she countered, her expression shifting. The cold facade she had been maintaining seemed on the verge of crumbling. I froze. Could it be that the Yellow River Dragon King had some secret method to kill her instantly? "Did you know? The first time we met, he poured me a cup of wine. After drinking it, I was in excruciating pain for 3 days and 3 nights. It was the most agonizing experience of my life. Each second, I wished for death. When I asked him what was in the wine, he casually replied, "Dragon venom. This is the mark I've bestowed upon you. With the venom in your body, you are now mine." Can you believe it? A man of his status resorting to such despicable means to control me. His desire for control is unbearable. How laughable. Who would think that someone as esteemed as the ruler of the Yellow River would have such a disgusting side? The Water Palace lady let out a bitter laugh, her eyes brimming with an uncontainable anguish. "I've never told anyone about the dragon venom in my body. Only he knows. It's my shame. And now, I'm telling you as proof of my sincerity." Her hatred was laid bare in her eyes, and I was stunned. So, the calm and composed exterior she always displayed was hiding such deep-seated resentment. Behind her cold and aloof veneer lay a pain unknown to others. The Yellow River Dragon King's woman had been living a life devoid of dignity. I fell silent. She was right. I never would have imagined the Yellow River Dragon King would go as far as poisoning her. This also explained why she was still a virgin, even on the eve of their wedding. It wasn't out of respect for her. Not at all. My mother had been nothing more than a sacrificial offering to him, and he had taken her by force. Why would he treat the Water Palace lady any differently? She had been guarding her last shred of dignity, resisting silently all these years. If even her body belonged to him, what would she have left that was truly her own? Without that, she would be nothing more than a complete slave. Back when I saw her endure humiliation at the ghost craftsman's hands, I had already gained a newfound respect for her. Today, I admired her even more. It turns out I wasn't the only one who had been living in humiliation for 18 years. She had been enduring just as much. I wasn't alone. She had her humiliations, and I had mine. When I saw the thunderstruck bamboo, I felt a connection to her. Now, that connection ran even deeper. "Is there no cure for the dragon venom?" I asked tentatively. "Do you think I'd still be here if there were? If I could cure it, why would I stay by his side, obeying his every command? No one but him can cure the venom. He uses it to control me. I've tried countless times to find an antidote, but there's none. I've given up hope. I hate him for poisoning me, but I also hate myself for pretending everything was fine all these years. When he was injured, I sought spiritual herbs for him. When he was hungry, I learned how to cook. I thought I could earn his goodwill and get him to cure me, but he's never treated me as a person. I was the last to know about the wedding. Am I an outsider? Or just a pawn? Isn't it laughable? Ha! Truly laughable. Here is the translated text, keeping the original structure, paragraph breaks, and overall layout intact. She said this, and if there were wine, she would surely down a whole bottle. I was speechless, her words struck me deeply. I taught you the movement technique because of the anger in my heart. I needed someone to bring me peace. That night, I felt at ease for the first time. It was the first time in years that my tense nerves relaxed. The 3-day agreement ultimately turned to dust, the lady of the water palace said slowly. I was stunned. That night she first taught me the movement technique? After venting, she gradually returned to calm. But her eyes reddened, as if years of grievances and suppressed emotions had finally erupted. This is my humiliation, a secret I've hidden for years. Even Long Shiyu doesn't know. I'm only telling you today. The lady of the water palace looked at me, regaining her composure, as if donning her icy exterior again. I said nothing, her sincerity was evident. Without her admission, I would never have known these things. Reading her expressions wouldn't have helped either. 3 minutes later, I asked, you want me to break ties with him so I can help you cure the dragon poison? I knew that every dragon carried a unique poison, and for years no one had been able to cure it. As for how to cure it, I had only overheard my master mention it in passing. Yes. The lady of the water palace nodded and stepped closer. Help me cure the poison. You don't even have to take me with you. What do you mean? I was surprised. We can take revenge on him together, she said. I looked at her. How do we take revenge? However you want, she threw the question back at me. I began to think. The lady of the water palace was powerful, but she was no match for the Yellow River Dragon King. Even if I cured her poison, what could she really do to help me? At that moment, we heard a voice from the shop. The greatest revenge is to strike where it hurts most. Both the lady of the water palace and I were stunned. The shop door opened, and my master walked out. The lady of the water palace's expression changed. They knew each other. I realized that, otherwise, my master wouldn't have sent me to seek her out in the first place. Zhang Zhoshuan, what do you mean by strike where it hurts most? The lady of the water palace asked. Marry my husband and become his first concubine. Now that's striking where it hurts. My master said something that shocked me. Last time, she tried to set me up with Wang Chengcheng as a concubine. Now she was suggesting that the lady of the water palace, the Yellow River Dragon King's fiancée, become my concubine? I knew my master meant well, but this idea was way too wild. The lady of the water palace's face instantly turned cold after hearing this. Zhang Zhoshuan, what kind of nonsense is this? Are you trying to make me a laughingstock? He can whisk me away on the wedding day, but I absolutely won't turn around and become his concubine. Do you think I'd entertain both father and son? Besides, I have no interest in matters between men and women. Husband, let me make your bed and cook you some chive noodles to boost your energy before you two consummate the marriage, my master said to me. I was speechless. Master, she just said she's not interested. As long as you are, that's enough. Be good, listen to me. Stealing the Yellow River Dragon King's bride right from under his nose, that's the ultimate revenge, my master said. I almost spat blood. Even though I had seen the lady of the water palace's perfect figure, I had no such intentions. If I really did that with the lady of the water palace, sure, I might feel good and could unleash years of pent-up resentment against the Yellow River Dragon King, experiencing a fleeting sense of revenge. But if my ruthless Dragon King father found out, he'd likely explode with rage. And what about the lady of the water palace? Where would that leave her? I knew this plan was extreme, but I couldn't go through with it. Zhang Zhoshuan. The lady of the water palace's voice turned icy. What do you take me for? My master glanced at her. And what do you take my apprentice for? Why should she help you cure your poison? The lady of the water palace was momentarily silenced. Besides, your water palace family is well off. You could easily have them step in and get the Dragon King to cure your poison, my master continued. My expression changed. The lady of the water palace actually had a family? The lady of the water palace's eyes flickered. Don't you know they've abandoned me? My face darkened further. Her family ties were strained, and they probably wouldn't even show up for her wedding. If your parents don't care about you, why should my husband help you? My master said. The lady of the water palace fell silent, her gaze quietly resting on me. I'm not asking you. I'm asking him if he's willing. I looked at my master, Zhang Zhoshuan. She raised me, so of course, I listened to her. Husband, come inside, I'll cook you some noodles, my master said, her gaze also falling on me. I nodded. Just as I was about to follow my master inside, I saw the light in the lady of the water palace's eyes dim. Her expression darkened. At that moment, she looked like a peach blossom about to wither in March, heartbreaking. She must have been deeply disappointed. The lady of the water palace sighed and turned to leave silently, as if resigning herself to the tragic fate of becoming a slave to the Yellow River Dragon King. "Unless you bring out your family's dragon vanquishing talisman, my husband will never help you," my master suddenly said. The lady of the water palace froze. I froze too, finally understanding why my master had suddenly suggested I consummate the marriage with the lady of the water palace. She wanted to use this opportunity to obtain the dragon vanquishing talisman. Could this talisman really defeat the Yellow River Dragon King? If it could, I might actually consider stealing the lady of the water palace on the Dragon King's wedding day. "How do you know my family has the dragon vanquishing talisman?" the lady of the water palace asked, frowning. "Your water palace family is a lineage of talisman masters. Though the family has declined and the art of talismans has been lost, I naturally know a thing or two," my master replied. The lady of the water palace shook her head. "The talisman is in my mother's hands. She's timid and spineless, she would never give it to me. They forced me upon the Yellow River Dragon King, and that's why I bear dragon poison in my body. I hate him, and I hate them too." Her eyes flickered, her body trembling slightly, clearly touching on deep-seated pain. I fell silent. She was just like me, with a cold and unfeeling family. Who you hate has nothing to do with me. There are only two ways to cure the dragon poison: 1. Get the dragon vanquishing talisman, 2. Willingly consummate the marriage with my husband and let him take charge. Once you become his first concubine, he'll naturally help you. "Your choice," my master said bluntly. The lady of the water palace froze. "Wait, you keep calling him your husband, but he has no experience? You haven't given him any? What kind of wife are you?" This time, it was my master's turn to freeze. I felt awkward too. I hadn't expected the lady of the water palace to remain so composed and turn the tables on my master. "Looks like your heart belongs to someone else," the lady of the water palace pointed out. "No, it doesn't. I told you to choose, not to question me," my master retorted stiffly. "Let me know if you need further adjustments." She glanced at me and seemed momentarily lost in thought, recalling the night she first taught me her movement techniques. A rare faint smile graced her lips, but her eyes remained calm, devoid of any emotion. She shook her head and calmly said, "I will never fall for any man. I'm not interested in romance." She stared at me, and I froze in place. "Are you choosing the dragon-slaying talisman?" my master asked. "I can't get it, and we don't even know if the talisman works," the water palace maiden replied, shaking her head. "Then, in 10 days, you'll have to marry him," my master declared. "I don't want to marry him," she said weakly, shaking her head again. "Then accompany my husband in the bridal chamber now. I'll give you 10 minutes to decide." She whispered softly to me, "Husband, let me go prepare the bed for you." I was stunned for a moment as master walked inside. The water palace maiden remained silent. It was clear she didn't want to return home, fully aware that her mother wouldn't risk offending the Dragon King by giving up the talisman. She understood that obtaining the dragon-slaying talisman was practically impossible. Seeing her sorrowful expression, though she appeared calm, her eyes betrayed a sense of loneliness, like a rose battered by frost. I silently walked into the room and saw my master actually preparing the bed for me. Unable to hold back, I asked, "Master, can the dragon-slaying talisman really kill the Dragon King?" "If the Yellow River Dragon King is gravely injured, there's about a 20% chance," Master replied. "If you kill him, you'll succeed in avenging yourself." My gaze flickered. 10 days from now is the Dragon King's wedding. That's your best chance, you must seize it. If he recovers and reaches his 19th birthday, you'll have no chance of survival. Master's tone was grave. The weight on my chest grew heavier. But how could I gather all the dragon blood in time? The 18 betrothed women were scattered far and wide. Collecting 4 drops of dragon blood today was already a stroke of luck. Even if I set out now, it would take more than 10 days to reach them all. I was stuck in an awkward situation. Without my half-dragon form, I couldn't even defeat an injured Dragon King. The only option left was to think of another plan, perhaps delivering a kitchen god or some other auspicious wedding gift to the Dragon King. Remember, husband, if you can kill him, do it. If not, flee with her immediately. The Yellow River Dragon King won't be easy to anger, and escaping his wrath will be nearly impossible. Master warned. I nodded. What if the Water Palace maiden refuses to return home to retrieve the talisman? I asked. Then tonight, you'll have to put in some effort, Master said, looking at me. I was stunned. Master, you can't be serious. I'm not joking. She has 1,000 years of cultivation and remains a virgin. If you consummate with her tonight, you can absorb her yin energy to enhance your yang energy, significantly boosting your cultivation. That's why I told you to take her as a concubine, Zhang Joshuan said seriously. I was speechless and impulsively asked, What if I consummate with you, master? How much would my cultivation improve? I'm not sure about the boost, but your legs might not survive, Zhang Zhoshuan said, her gaze suddenly turning sharp. I was utterly speechless. Wasn't this just a way to ensure my legs get broken? But then her expression softened again. Unfortunately, she's too stubborn and won't consummate with you. The decision to help her detoxify the dragon poison is yours to make. No matter what you choose, I'll support you. Her words warmed my heart. Apart from not sharing a bed with me, Zhang Zhoshuan truly fulfilled all the duties of a wife. By the way, master, how do we detoxify the dragon poison? I asked. Master hesitated. It seemed the method wasn't easy. Could it be that to untie the bell, one must ask the bell ringer? The Yellow River Dragon King certainly wouldn't willingly help her detoxify. While I hesitated, a breeze blew in as the Water Palace maiden entered. Her gaze remained lowered. I want to talk to him alone, she told Zhang Zhoshuan. Master looked at me. Husband, I'll go make you some noodles. I nodded as Zhang Zhoshuan glanced at the Water Palace maiden. Without another word, she walked out and closed the door behind her. I really couldn't get the dragon-slaying talisman. Is there another way? Before she could finish, she suddenly stumbled, as if a strange wind had knocked her off balance. Her full figure fell toward me, and I instinctively reached out to catch her. With a soft thump, she collapsed into my arms. Her body was incredibly soft and light, not heavy at all. In fact, it felt like jelly, sweet and delicate as she landed against my chest. I lowered my head and looked into her eyes. Our gazes locked, so close that I could feel the depth of her stare, filled with surprise and unease. Her face was smooth and fair, with a high nose and lips as pink as lotus petals. It was the first time I had seen her so closely. Our breaths intertwined as my hands rested on her slender waist. The sensation was like touching solidified jelly. Pressing too hard might cause it to bounce back. I remembered her stunning figure when she undressed in front of me on the ghost ship. Her tall, sculpted body, with a touch of Western elegance, was even more perfect up close. Her waist-to-hip ratio was flawless, striking a balance between sensuality and grace, like a masterpiece of art. After a few seconds, her gaze shifted away. I snapped out of it as she pulled her face away from my chest, and I withdrew my hands from her waist. Yet, the soft elasticity lingered on my fingertips. She straightened up and said, "Your master mentioned." I understood immediately. Master had suggested consummating with her to enhance my strength. Otherwise, how could the Water Palace maiden have fallen so easily? For a moment, I almost wanted to pick her up, tear off her clothes, and throw her onto the bed. Alone in the room with her, my 18-year-old impulses surged, coupled with my desperation to improve my cultivation. But deep down, I remembered that she had taught me movement techniques and was both a mentor and friend, not to mention the Dragon King's fiancée. I couldn't touch her, so I restrained myself. I really can't get the dragon-slaying talisman. Do you have any other ideas? She asked. I needed to come up with a plan immediately. 10 days wouldn't be enough to gather all the dragon blood. I needed external power to grow stronger. The dragon-slaying talisman was the ideal weapon. I had to obtain it. Where is your home? I asked her. She froze. You want to go to my home to retrieve the talisman? I nodded. Yes. Don't worry. Since you hate your parents, you don't have to show up. Just lead me there. I'll handle the rest. She looked at me skeptically. Are you sure? It seemed she believed the talisman was in her mother's possession, making it almost impossible to take. You've never met her. You don't understand her personality. What's in her hands? Even I can't take it, let alone you. She's a miser who never lets anything go, the Water Palace maiden warned. Still, I nodded. I had endured too much over the years. What was this challenge compared to that? As long as she was willing to lead me there, I was 60% confident I could obtain the dragon-slaying talisman. This was a task I had to complete within 10 days. Otherwise, how could I confidently attend the Dragon King's wedding? Of course, I'll do it. If I can't even manage this, then in 10 days, you'll have no choice but to obediently marry him, I said bluntly. The Water Palace lady fell silent. I'm afraid you'll suffer. I've never seen anyone retrieve what's in her hands. No problem, I reassured her confidently. She looked at me. All right, I'll take you back. But to be honest, the dragon exorcism talisman might be fine in someone else's hands, but in hers, you might not get it. If you can't retrieve it, I'll teach you another divine skill as compensation. Hearing this, I nodded in agreement. After all, the movement technique she taught me last time greatly improved my abilities, though our 3-day agreement was interrupted. Fortunately, the things she tied to my legs were still there, continuously enhancing my speed. The Water Palace lady exhaled in relief. So, when do we leave? Now, I declared. I had to retrieve the dragon exorcism talisman as soon as possible and maybe even snag a few drops of dragon blood while I was at it. Every second counts in these 10 days. Now. She was surprised. Yes, I nodded. All right, she agreed. This time, I had to take the thunderstrike bamboo, which my master had soaked in celestial silver liquid for several days. I planned to use it to practice that particular technique. Stepping out of my room, I heard the water palace lady ask softly from behind, on the day of my wedding, in 10 days, will you still take me away? I instinctively turned back. Her expression was complicated, as if she had summoned great courage to ask this. There was both tension and hope in her eyes. I understood her worry. After removing the dragon poison, her vitality had plummeted, and her power had sharply declined. If she remained under the Yellow River Dragon King's control at that time, escape would be impossible. She was resolute, she had to leave the Yellow River Dragon King. She had to escape on her wedding day. Honestly, I couldn't promise her. If I could defeat the Yellow River Dragon King, there'd be no need for her to run. But if I failed, I wouldn't even be able to protect myself, let alone help her escape. All right, I understand, she said. The hope in her eyes gradually faded, like a dried-up spring, replaced with a trace of disappointment. She didn't let it show, though, and simply said softly, just help me detoxify. I'll figure out the rest myself. All right. I nodded, not saying more. I walked to the vase holding the thunderstrike bamboo. A green glow enveloped it, giving it a mystical aura, like some celestial herb. The liquid inside the vase was down to a third, and it seemed that the thunderstrike bamboo had healed from its injuries thanks to the celestial silver liquid. Its cultivation level had even improved. And it couldn't have come at a better time. I immediately dismissed the idea of taking her away right now. With her cultivation level improving, my techniques would be more powerful when I performed them. I ignored the ginseng in the corner, it wasn't worth the distraction. Just then, my master appeared, carrying a bowl of steaming noodles. Seeing me emerge, she shook her head helplessly. Husband, you must be tired. Eat some noodles first, she said. I told her what had just happened. She nodded. Your decisions are always right. Be good now, eat first. I was starving, having not eaten all day, and immediately dug in. The water palace lady, with her high cultivation, had no need for food. Husband, eat slowly. I'll get you another bowl, my master said tenderly. I finished quickly but shook my head. No need, time is tight. I have to leave immediately. Do you need me to go with you? Zhang Jiuxian asked, her gaze firm as she looked at me. I hesitated for a moment. Husband, don't you want me to come? Her eyes flickered. Back in our time, the husband was the head of the household. You can have me do anything. Master, Truthfully, I wanted her to stay at the shop to look after the thunderstrike bamboo. I also didn't want her getting hurt, she was, after all, a ghost. All right then, husband, please be careful on the road. If you can't retrieve the dragon exorcism talisman in 3 days, just come back. I'll be waiting for you at home, Zhang Jiuxian said gently. I gave a nod. Time was too tight. If I failed, I'd have to come up with another plan. 10 days, it's really not much time at all. I left the shop. The water palace lady appeared as well. My master said, Water palace, my husband doesn't know how to cook. For the next few days, you'll accompany him and take care of his meals. Keep it light, he hasn't eaten spicy food since he was a child. The water palace lady glanced at Zhang Jiuxian. Your husband runs around like this, are you really giving him enough? Zhang Jiuxian squinted slightly and looked at me. Husband, be careful out there. If you're in danger, head east. She sat down, her gaze fixed on me like a devoted wife waiting for her husband. Honestly, I didn't want to leave home at all. I'd grown up with her, especially in my childhood, when I'd often rest my head on her cool and soft thighs. But the Yellow River Dragon King's death warrant left me no choice but to leave. I closed the shop door. The moment I turned around, the water palace lady pulled up in an off-road vehicle from who knows where. I was just about to get in when I heard an angry shout, finally. I looked everywhere for you, and here you are. Don't run, you're not getting away this time. I turned around, it was Chao Yong from the Dragon Bureau, the guy I knocked out at the mall earlier today. His face was swollen like a pig's head, but he still managed to find me? I regretted not finishing him off earlier. You ambushed me this morning. No honor at all. You only knocked me out because you attacked sneakily, your win doesn't count. Chao Yong yelled, pointing at me. Where's Lu Yufei? Hand her over. Fight me again. This time, no sneak attacks. His anger was practically spitting in my face. I clenched my fists, not wanting to waste time and planning to knock him out again. After all, killing him in front of the shop would be troublesome. Who's this? The water palace lady asked from the driver's seat. A defeated opponent, I replied flatly. Chao Yong grew even more furious. What did you say? I was only knocked out because you ambushed me. Bang! The water palace lady opened the car door and stepped out, walking toward Chao Yong. When he saw her, his angry eyes turned to astonishment. Beautiful lady, who or why? You're too noisy. The water palace lady grabbed his shoulder and lifted him effortlessly. Chao Yong froze in fear. With a flick of her wrist, she threw him into a trash pile over 10 meters away. He let out a cry before fainting. Who would have thought that, after all his effort to chase me down for revenge, he'd end up being tossed out like garbage by the water palace lady instead? Was this bad luck or good fortune? Lying in the trash, he'd probably have to wait for someone to pick him up in the morning. I stood there, stunned. The water palace lady had dealt with Chao Yong so easily. For the Yellow River Dragon King, dealing with someone like him would be child's play. This made me even more determined. I had to obtain the dragon exorcism talisman. The water palace lady acted as if it was nothing, smiling as she said, "Didn't you say we're leaving now? Why aren't you in the car yet?" Snapping out of it, I climbed into the vehicle. She got in too and started driving. Last time it was Lu Wenwen driving, this time, it was her. I casually asked her where Lu Wenwen was and if the dragon blood in her body had been retrieved. "Do you want to see her?" the water palace lady asked in return. I shook my head outwardly, but inwardly, I was already plotting to seize the dragon's blood as soon as the opportunity arose. I asked about the journey's duration. She said it would take a day. I sighed, resigned but accepting. I exhaled deeply, my thoughts swirling around how to obtain the dragon-slaying talisman. Out of nowhere, the lady of the water palace said, "In all these years, I've never brought a man home." "Huh? Never?" I asked. You're the first," she nodded. She seemed to realize she had said too much and glanced at me through the rearview mirror. I met her gaze. I responded, "I'm not your boyfriend anyway. Even if you do take me home, we're not sharing a bed, so it doesn't count." The lady of the water palace fell silent after hearing this. She focused on driving. The car was moving fast yet steady. Given how little rest I'd had the past 2 days, I soon drifted off to sleep. Half asleep, half awake, I dreamed of a place I'd never been before, the Yellow River Dragon Palace. In the dream, there were many unfamiliar men and women, all staring intently in the same direction. I followed their line of sight. There, the lady of the water palace stood, dressed in a phoenix robe, bloodied from head to toe. A massive golden dragon claw gripped her head. She stared blankly at me, her eyes unwavering. "You dare betray me," an icy, unfamiliar voice rang out. She didn't cry for help. Her gaze flickered before filling with a sense of loss. Finally, she closed her eyes, awaiting death without fear. I froze, torn between whether or not to try and save her. Just as I hesitated, the golden dragon claw crushed her head with a sickening crunch. Blood sprayed everywhere. Her face split open. Even in her final moments, she neither begged for mercy nor showed any fear. The blood spilled through the air, carried away by the wind. In that moment, it seemed she had finally rid herself of the dragon's poison, gaining freedom only to fall completely. I watched her body tremble before collapsing limply onto the cold ground. A heavy weight pressed against my chest, making it hard to breathe. The icy voice spoke again, accompanied by an overwhelming, suffocating pressure. "How bold! I spared you for 18 years, and yet you dare step into my dragon palace? Ungrateful fool! My wounds have yet to heal, but your blood and flesh will do just fine to restore my powers. 18 years ago, I gave you life. Today, I'll take it back." Boom! The sky darkened. A dragon's head, larger than a house, descended from the heavens, as imposing as Mount Tai. I shouted in fear, jolting awake from the nightmare. Cold sweat poured from me. The lady of the water palace glanced over, surprised. "Bad dream?" I looked at her, haunted by the image of her calmly facing death in my dream. If I didn't take her with me, would she die? Would I also meet the same fate? An unease crept into my heart. Something felt off. Why would I, on my way to the Yellow River Dragon Palace for the Dragon King's wedding, have such a terrifying dream? I tried to reassure myself, "It's nothing." She didn't press further. "We're almost there." I was surprised. I had slept most of the day. Looking outside, I saw that dawn had already broken. The lady of the water palace had driven all night without stopping. The scenery outside, however, was desolate. I asked where her home was. She hesitated, seemingly reluctant to answer. Curiosity gnawed at me. What kind of home would make someone so unwilling to speak of it? After a long silence, she finally said, "My home is at the pit of 10,000 corpses." My expression changed drastically. My master had told me about that place, a site heavy with malevolent energy. It wasn't a battlefield but a place where a pair of deranged spirit beast lovers had slaughtered everyone within a 10-mile radius in a single night. Corpses littered the ground, and even the rivers ran red with blood. That's how it became known as the pit of 10,000 corpses. They committed such atrocities solely to cultivate their dark arts. Selfish and utterly devoid of humanity. Many righteous warriors from Yenxia made the journey to eradicate the monsters but were driven back by the couple's powerful dark magic and the overwhelming aura of resentment. Since then, the two became infamous, despised by all. The pit of 10,000 corpses became a place of immense hatred and dread. I had been 10 years old when my master told me about it. I remember being furious, cursing those monsters for being so cruel and inhuman. And now, the lady of the water palace had just admitted that those two killers were her parents? I asked her. She stayed silent for a moment before nodding. I was stunned. No wonder she once said she would never take out what her mother had given her. For someone capable of slaughtering thousands to cultivate dark magic, selfishness and lack of humanity would indeed mean she'd give nothing away. That's why I've never brought a man home before, the lady of the water palace said again. Her meaning was clear. With parents like hers, it was no wonder she felt ashamed and self-conscious, unable to hold her head high. My own Dragon King father had made my 18 years of life just as humiliating. But at least their daughter turned out normal, I replied. The lady of the water palace, at least, wasn't like her parents. She didn't resort to any means to achieve her goals, nor did she harm the innocent. She glanced at me. I'm not normal. I've killed a lot of people. Killing many people and killing innocent people are two entirely different things. They don't meet outsiders easily. Without me to take you in, it'd be nearly impossible for you to get inside, she said. That's fine. I'll get out of the car on my own. When we get there, just wait for me for 2 days, I replied. She hesitated for a few seconds. I'll go in with you. No need, I refused. She paused, then suddenly said, the only ones they fear are the Dragon King of the Yellow River, the Lady Dragon of the Yangtze, and the Nine-Tailed Fox Spirit. If you could convince the Nine-Tailed Fox to help, you might have a chance to get the dragon-slaying talisman. But finding her and convincing her would be equally difficult. I froze. My master had mentioned the Nine-Tailed Fox before, a rare fox deity in the mortal realm, elusive and impossible to track. How would I know where she was hiding? Unless Master Jiang Zhoushuan himself came to help. Even if I did find her, why would she help me? I brushed off the thought. No point in daydreaming. The lady of the water palace seemed to agree it was unrealistic. I was just saying. You'll have to figure it out yourself. She resumed driving. I gazed out of the window. The surrounding area had become barren, devoid of any vegetation. The sky was as gloomy as the gates of the underworld, the air oppressive. The aura of resentment was thick, and scattered bones lined the roadside. We had arrived at the pit of 10,000 corpses. I began strategizing how to obtain the dragon-slaying talisman. For now, the first step was to meet her parents, otherwise, even a meeting would be impossible. A sudden loud noise interrupted my thoughts. Instinctively, I looked ahead. In the eerie woods not far away, lightning streaked across the sky, torrential rain poured, thunder roared, and fierce winds howled. Although the range was less than 3 kilometers, the intensity was extraordinary. My expression shifted. Could someone be undergoing a tribulation at the pit of 10,000 corpses? The sound was far louder than any tribulation I'd witnessed before, including the infamous bamboo thunder tribulation. Something felt off. The lady of the water palace noticed it too. Her eyes lit up, and she stopped the car. The tribulation field is so small, it must be someone undergoing the trial to awaken their spiritual consciousness. Awakening spiritual consciousness is a critical tribulation advanced spirit beasts must undergo to become truly sentient. Failure means obliteration, success grants extraordinary intelligence. This is the content from paragraph 9 out of 15. I will process it based on the logical flow and structure you provided, preserving the original paragraph layout, line breaks, and overall format. Here's the result. High-level spirits are typically the offspring of powerful parents. Could this tribulation transcender be the descendant of a high-level spirit? My curiosity was piqued. I exchanged a glance with the water palace lady, and without hesitation, we got out of the vehicle and rushed toward the site of the thunder tribulation. Rain lashed against me, the wind howled, thunder roared, and the sky was shrouded in thick, dark clouds. A bolt of lightning erupted, striking the forest with ferocity. For a moment, the area within a 3-mile radius was as bright as day. Squinting, I followed the direction of the lightning, as did the water palace lady. Where the lightning struck, both of us gasped simultaneously. No way, that fluffy white little thing is. I see it, I nodded. Sitting atop a rock was a small fox, covered in pure white fur. Her eyes were golden, her coat gleaming as if she had been bathed in milk, and, astonishingly, she already had 2 tails. The 2 tails swayed like dragon whiskers, an incredibly rare sight. This fox exuded an air of elegance, like a spoiled little princess. My expression shifted slightly. There's actually a 2-tailed spirit fox here, the water palace lady exclaimed. I spoke slowly. This little fox has an exceptional bone structure, nearly perfect, but she carries an air of mischief and independence. I'd guess she sneaked away from home to attempt the tribulation herself, hoping to awaken her spiritual intelligence. But this thunder tribulation is far too strong. She's already struggling to hold on. By my calculations, 2 bolts of lightning had already struck, and with the dark clouds overhead, a third was inevitable. Only after enduring the third strike could the fox awaken her spiritual intelligence. But she was far too young. The first 2 strikes had already left her barely clinging to life. "Can you tell whose child she is?" the water palace lady asked. Examining her closely, I replied, "This little fox likely only has a mother. Judging by her radiant, pristine fur, her mother must have cared for her diligently. But she's clearly quite the troublemaker, probably driving her mother to her wits' end. Right now, her mother must be frantic with worry. With a bone structure this exceptional, her parents must be at least 8-tailed spirit foxes, possibly even 9-tailed. How many 9-tailed spirit foxes are there in the mortal realm?" "Only one," the water palace lady pondered aloud. Could this be her child? A thought struck me. Could it really be such a coincidence? The water palace lady had just mentioned the 9-tailed fox, and now we had stumbled upon her daughter? If so, the little fox's mother must be on the verge of losing her mind. At that moment, the dark clouds in the sky roared with thunder once more, radiating a terrifying aura that even made my heart race, despite being an outsider to the tribulation. The third bolt of lightning was clearly imminent. I couldn't help but wonder, if I reverted to my half-dragon form, would enduring the tribulation be easier? After all, I am half human, half dragon. Whimper! Suddenly, the little fox let out a frightened sound, her ears drooping, her tails tucking between her legs. Her large eyes filled with a misty layer of tears, and her young heart, overwhelmed by the first 2 strikes, had already crumbled. Evidently, the power of the lightning far exceeded her expectations, and now she was panicking, regretting her rash decision. The thunder rumbled ominously, and if the little fox continued like this, she would surely perish under the next strike. This was a rare opportunity. As a fortune teller, I hesitated for only a moment before rushing forward. The little fox saw me, her terrified eyes widening, and she whimpered incessantly, as if my appearance had given her a glimmer of hope. "I know you're smart, so I'll be direct. Stand up. You can't give in to fear during a tribulation, or no one will be able to save you," I urged her. Enduring a tribulation is something one must face alone, no one else can interfere. It all depends on her. Though gripped by fear, the little fox mustered courage upon hearing my words. She tried to stand, raising her head to face the heavens. But from within the clouds, the lightning erupted with a deafening roar, its blinding light so intense it seemed capable of destroying everything in an instant. The little fox let out another whimper, her ears drooping once more. The courage she had just summoned was shattered by the lightning, and fear reclaimed her gaze. "Don't be afraid. You chose to leave home on your own, so you must face the consequences. I know you want to earn your mother's admiration, to prove you're not just a child. Then stand tall and show her. Let her see that you're capable." I continued to encourage her. At this point, the water palace lady also stepped forward. The little fox stared at me in a daze. "Do you want your mother to look down on you?" I asked. The little fox shook her head. "Do you want to disappoint her?" I pressed further. She shook her head again, her eyes beginning to change. The water palace lady, listening, looked at me in astonishment. "Do you want your mother to lose her daughter? If you don't stand up, you'll die." I delivered the final push. The little fox froze, looking up at the approaching lightning. At first, she was still afraid, but gradually, the fear melted away, replaced by a rare determination in her eyes. Her ears perked up, and her tails unfurled once more. She let out a soft whimper toward me, as if she understood and truly appreciated my encouragement. Her attitude was good, her heart kind and pure, a testament to the excellent upbringing her mother must have provided. I said no more, feeling a sense of relief. With a slight movement of my fingers, I channeled half of my yang energy into the little fox's body. The infusion of yang energy revitalized her small frame. The little fox looked at me with gratitude. At that moment, the dark clouds in the sky swelled violently, and the third bolt of lightning struck with a deafening crash. The lightning illuminated the heavens, its terrifying energy distorting the very air around us. Crackling sounds filled the air, as if the lightning were right beside me. My skin tingled with a faint numbness as I felt its power. Heart pounding, I quickly stepped back. When the lightning finally subsided, I opened my eyes immediately. The dark clouds had dispersed, and the sky was as clear as after a heavy storm. I rushed to check on the little fox. She lay motionless in a deep crater formed by the charred ground and the stone that had been struck by lightning. Her once pristine fur was now singed and smoking, and she appeared lifeless. My heart sank. Had she failed to survive the tribulation? She was so small, yet she had shown such incredible courage. The Water Palace lady sighed, her gaze flickering. She was so close to succeeding. She lamented, if the nine-tailed fox finds out her daughter perished in the tribulation, she may not survive the heartbreak herself. Do good without asking for reward, we've done all we can. I remained silent, a sense of loss weighing on me. Helping her was partly an attempt to establish a connection with the nine-tailed fox, but seeing her bravery had genuinely moved me. This is fate between you and me, I can't bear to leave you exposed to the wilderness, I muttered, deciding to give the little fox a proper burial. Just as I bent down to pick it up, the Water Palace lady suddenly shouted, "Wait! Don't get close, she's coming." She? Before I could process her words, a shadow flickered at the edge of my vision. A woman, around 40, with a voluptuous figure and an alluring presence, emerged at the edge of the pit. Her features bore a striking resemblance to the Water Palace lady. Could this be her mother? I tensed up, realizing the commotion might have drawn her here. She crouched down, scooped up the little fox, and smirked with amusement. "You little thing, what are you doing enduring a tribulation on my turf? Where's your mother, the nine-tailed fox?" Talking as if to herself, she continued, seriously, if you were planning to cross your tribulation here, you should have informed me in advance. I could have helped you out. If you'd succeeded, I'd have your mom owe me big time. She completely ignored me and the Water Palace lady. My chest tightened as an icy chill ran down my spine, her gaze was now locked onto me. "Let's see if you're really dead. Wake up. Dead for real? Oh, your mom's gonna cry her heart out." She grabbed the fox by the scruff of its neck, shaking its lifeless body like a toy, without a trace of care or reverence. Anger surged within me, how dare she handle its body so cruelly? The Water Palace lady frowned deeply. "No matter," the woman said coldly, "dead is dead, no proof left behind. Next time I see your mom, I'll just say I risked my life to save you, but alas, you didn't survive the tribulation. She'll think of me as your savior, and that's all that matters." Her sharp, cold eyes flicked back to me. "And you trying to help it, huh? You're pathetic. Helping or not doesn't matter. At least the nine-tailed fox will know. She'll thank you, but what's the point? I'll take the gratitude in your stead. What good is gratitude to a dead man? Now tell me, what are you doing in the mass grave? Say the wrong thing, and I'll make sure you die." Her gaze turned frigid, as if in her eyes, I was already a corpse. But I remained calm. I wasn't afraid of her threats, what worried me was failing to identify her weakness. As a fortune-teller, finding flaws was my specialty, my way to turn the tide. The face of the Water Palace lady's mother was unreadable with my current skills. She was clearly on guard, and I didn't dare act recklessly. But then, a stroke of luck, she inadvertently revealed a flaw as she spoke. She declared me already dead. Fine. I'd seize on the word dead and see where it led me. I silently analyzed, the character for death is composed of, meaning bad, and, a dagger. Hints at misfortune, while the element suggests shortened life. This implies her lifespan was compromised. The, symbolizing a blade, indicates she once suffered a stabbing injury, one that gravely drained her life force and irreversibly shortened her lifespan. Though her complexion didn't reveal any lingering signs of old wounds, clearly, she had long since recovered. What was lost in lifespan could never be regained. But who was it that injured her? Just as I was about to speak, the Water Palace lady interrupted, "He's with me." I froze. I had promised to keep her out of this, yet not only had her mother noticed her, now she was openly speaking up for me? "If not for you, he'd already be dead," her mother snapped coldly. "I'll deal with you later." Her eyes shifted back to me, sharp as daggers. "Talk." The Water Palace lady leaned closer and whispered a warning, "She's cunning and ruthless. Don't trust her." I filed that away in my mind but kept my expression neutral. "I'm here to negotiate a deal with you," I declared. "A deal? With me? What a joke," she sneered. "In Sun Yang, let him finish," the Water Palace lady interrupted coldly. In Sun Yang shot her an icy glance, narrowing her eyes. "What's your connection to this boy? Why are you speaking for him?" The Water Palace lady gave no response, instead turning back to me. "Go on." I nodded. "The deal concerns your lifespan." The Water Palace lady's expression changed, clearly unaware her mother had issues with her lifespan. Evidently, In Sun Yang was so guarded that even her own daughter knew nothing. Hearing my words, In Sun Yang's pupils contracted in shock, as if I'd uncovered a closely guarded secret. Internally, I breathed a small sigh of relief. Her eyes bore into me, her voice tinged with urgency despite her feigned disdain. "My lifespan? Nonsense." I laid out my earlier analysis. Her initial reaction was one of astonishment, but it quickly twisted into a venomous glare. "You dare read my fate? That's a death sentence." Her killing intent was palpable, but I didn't back down. The Water Palace lady stepped forward. I cut straight to the point. "I can help you restore your lifespan, but you'll need to hand over something in return." She laughed coldly. "You? Restore my lifespan? If I say no, it's no. In a flash, Yin San Yang appeared right in front of me, her gaze icy. Helping you restore your lifespan is doing you a favor. Otherwise, I'll carve you into pieces, bit by bit. It was clear she wanted to force my hand or take what she wanted without giving anything in return. But I smirked to myself. Getting her to hand over the dragon extinguishing talisman would be harder than killing her outright. I stood firm. Quit wasting time. Hand over the talisman, and I'll help you restore your lifespan. Otherwise, we both lose. Yin San Yang studied me for a moment, her lips curling into a smile. You've got guts. Fine. Tell me what you want. I'll see if I have it. The dragon extinguishing talisman. She frowned and glanced at the water palace lady. Did you tell him about it? The water palace lady remained silent. Yin San Yang turned her sharp gaze back to me. Why do you want the dragon extinguishing talisman? That's none of your concern. Just tell me yes or no. Yin San Yang sneered. Don't tell me you're planning to use it against the Yellow River Dragon King or the Yangtze River Lady Dragon? You wouldn't dare. Either of them could crush you with a flick of their finger. Fine, I'll agree, but first, tell me how to restore my lifespan. The water palace lady interjected coldly, no. Hand over the talisman first. Yin San Yang's expression darkened. You're siding against me? The water palace lady stared her down. From the moment you forced me to meet him, we ceased to have any relationship. Yin San Yang let out a cold laugh, though she didn't seem angered. The dragon extinguishing talisman can't be handed over right away. What if he fails to help me? The water palace lady whispered to me, you must get the talisman first. If her lifespan is restored, she'll definitely betray you. I didn't respond but inwardly smirked. Betrayal and deceit? I, Long Shiba, had faced worse. 18 women had broken their marriage vows to me. I'd stopped believing in promises long ago. If I said I'd get the talisman, I would, no matter what. Fine, I said to Yin San Yang. She smiled. So, how do I restore my lifespan? The water palace lady's face fell. Are you really not going to listen to me? This will all be for nothing. She always betrays people after she gets what she wants. I felt a flicker of emotion at her concern but remained resolute. Don't worry. Trust me. The water palace lady shook her head. I know her better than you do. She's cunning and experienced, she's eaten more salt than you've eaten rice. I said, last time, I helped you beat the ghost craftsman. The water palace lady gave a bitter smile. The ghost craftsman has boundaries. She doesn't. I've never seen her suffer a loss. You're too young. Mistress Yin impatiently urged, answer me. Don't you want the dragon exterminating talisman? I replied calmly, restoring lifespan is simple. Mistress Yin pressed, then hurry up and tell me. The water palace lady sighed without speaking. Watching her bow her head in disappointment, I couldn't bear to see her mother deceive me. I continued, you practice Yin-based techniques. Solely relying on Yin energy won't restore your lifespan. I'm sure you've tried countless times. Mistress Yin interrupted sharply, get to the point. I said, the method is correct, but you're missing a key ingredient that can merge with Yin energy. Mistress Yin asked, what is it? I explained, I used the word death to examine your lifespan damage, and I can also deduce the missing ingredient. From death, we search for vitality, it can only be found in fungi growing from withered wood. Based on your cultivation level, what you lack is a 1,000-year-old spirit hollow mushroom. Mistress Yin's expression shifted. Spirit hollow mushroom? Spirit hollow mushroom? She nearly slapped her thigh in realization, and even the water palace lady froze in place. Mistress Yin asked urgently, where can I find a 1,000-year-old spirit hollow mushroom? I said, spirit hollow mushrooms grow in caves. That little fox's mother you're holding is a 1,000-year-old nine-tailed fox spirit. Coincidentally, the nine-tailed fox is currently away. You can take advantage of her absence to search her cave for the mushroom. The water palace lady's face changed, and she gave me another long look. Mistress Yin frowned. You're telling me to go to the nine-tailed fox's lair? I said, spirit hollow mushrooms are particular about their growth conditions. Not every cave has them. Only those with exceptional cultivation can grow high-quality spirit hollow mushrooms. Of course, you could try someone else's cave, but... Mistress Yin asked, but what? I said, the nine-tailed fox's lair is currently unguarded. Mistress Yin shook her head. Unguarded doesn't mean I'll go. The nine-tailed fox is stronger than me. I replied coolly, you'd best visit her lair first. Mistress Yin's gaze turned icy. Why do you keep insisting I go to the nine-tailed fox's lair? I said, you could search elsewhere, but spirit hollow mushrooms are rare treasures. Others won't give them up easily. Your best chance is when no one's home. Right now, the nine-tailed fox's lair is your best opportunity. Mistress Yin's eyes flickered as she began to consider. I glanced at the little fox she was holding and said, hand it to me. I'll take care of the burial. She sneered, why should I give it to you? Isn't it you who saved it? Let me tell you, I found it during its tribulation and even helped it. It's just that its luck ran out, and it couldn't survive the lightning tribulation. Its death has nothing to do with you. She continued with a cold laugh, I'm merely returning the nine-tailed fox's daughter. Whether she acknowledges it or not doesn't matter to me. I'm just stopping by her lair to pick a spirit hollow mushroom. I was fuming internally. Was she seriously trying to claim credit? Clearly, Mistress Ian had already planned this out. She was using the little fox as a cover. If the nine-tailed fox wasn't home, she'd sneak into the lair. If she was, she'd use the fox to trade for the mushroom. Truly devious, adaptable to any scenario. But my credit wasn't so easily stolen. Mistress Ian stared at me and asked, "Did you hear me?" I nodded. "I heard you." She added, "If you're truly capable of getting me the spirit hollow mushroom, I'll give you the dragon exterminating talisman I'm holding." Another promise dangled. I nodded again. Her lips curved into a mocking smile. After finishing her words, she turned to the Water Palace lady. "You don't need to come. He and I will handle this." The Water Palace lady firmly opposed. "No, I'm going with you." The tension in the air was so thick it felt like it could explode. I suspected they might start fighting at any moment. Mistress Ian scoffed, "Humph. If the nine-tailed fox's lair weren't so close, I wouldn't even let you come." The Water Palace lady stepped closer to me. "I'm going with you. The nine-tailed fox's lair is only 100 miles away." I nodded. Mistress Ian glanced at the car, grabbed the little fox, and vanished ahead. Clearly, she wanted to get there first and gather the spirit hollow mushroom while the nine-tailed fox was still away. The Water Palace lady lowered her voice to ask me, "Did you do that on purpose?" I shrugged. "Nope. She's going herself. I didn't force her." She pressed on, "Are you sure she won't trick you?" I squinted. "The bridges are already burned. No way she can trick me again." The Water Palace lady still seemed uneasy. "I'm worried you won't be able to handle her. You don't fully understand her yet." She sighed, her gaze falling on the scorched earth left by the lightning tribulation, and murmured, "Is the little fox really dead?" It seemed, as a fellow spirit, she felt some pity. I didn't respond. Mistress Yin's impatient voice interrupted from a distance, "What's taking so long? Delay me, and forget about getting the dragon exterminating talisman." I replied, and the Water Palace lady and I quickly returned. Mistress Yin was already seated in the passenger seat, glaring coldly at the Water Palace lady, while the little fox lay carelessly tossed at her feet. The Water Palace lady drove, I sat in the back. Mistress Yin directed the way in silence, leaving the Water Palace lady to focus on driving. I glanced at the mass grave outside the car window. A small sigh of relief escaped me. This was not a place anyone should linger. As we left, Mistress Yin asked coldly, "You and the Dragon King are about to get married. As the bride-to-be, shouldn't you be busy preparing for the wedding? Why bring him back here?" She warned, "I'm telling you, the wedding must go off without a hitch. You had better behave and marry him properly." The Water Palace lady retorted furiously, "Why don't you just admit you're trying to use my marriage to the Dragon King for your own gain? Just be direct." Mistress Yin sneered. "I raised you. Shouldn't you repay me? Marrying the Dragon King is for your own good. If your father hadn't objected, I'd have married him myself." The Water Palace lady's eyes reddened. "Then go marry him." Seeing this, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. For her mother to say such things, she must be utterly disheartened. Mistress Yin frowned but quickly feigned indifference. "By the way, you're marrying the Dragon King. Why didn't he personally invite me?" The Water Palace lady didn't hold back. "Did you forget your reputation in the mortal world? Do you really think he'd invite an infamous pariah like you to the wedding?" Mistress Yin's face darkened, and she fell silent. Clearly, the only thing she cared about was ensuring the Water Palace lady's smooth marriage to the Yellow River Dragon King. Once she had this powerful ally, she'd reap the benefits. Time passed, and Mistress Yin's eyes darted toward the horizon. She was clearly sensing whether the nine-tailed fox was nearby. The journey was nearly 200 kilometers, and we sprinted for almost 2 hours at top speed. The journey was like a whirlwind, speeding as if our lives depended on it. The cold smirk on In San Yan's lips grew deeper. She clearly sensed that the nine-tailed fox wasn't in her lair at the moment. "You calculated that pretty well." She turned back to compliment me. Seeing her satisfaction, I responded humbly, downplaying it. "Get off." In San Yang grabbed the little fox from under her feet and headed straight ashore. The Water Palace lady and I got off at the same time. Before us stood a steep mountain, densely wooded, with no sign of humanity for dozens of miles around, a perfect lair for a spirit creature. In San Yang said nothing. Her figure flickered a few times as she dashed into the forest at the foot of the mountain. It was obvious she'd been here before and knew the place well. The Water Palace lady and I exchanged glances before quickly following. When we reached a tree, I deliberately paused to relieve myself before continuing. The Water Palace lady kept up effortlessly with In San Yang, while I, still new to honing my movement skills, lagged slightly. Thankfully, the Water Palace lady occasionally slowed down to wait for me. After an hour of climbing, I wasn't tired, though sweat poured down my face. For me, this was also good training for my movement technique. Yin San Yang led us through a thicket of brambles and arrived at a cave concealed by thick vines, extremely well hidden. Honestly, without Yin San Yang leading the way, it would take at least a week just to locate this place. Stop dawdling. Yin San Yang impatiently shot me a cold glance. Follow me inside. She pushed aside the vines with her hands and stepped in first, having seemingly confirmed earlier that no one was inside. The Water Palace lady and I followed close behind. As soon as we entered, a unique, indescribable fragrance filled the air. It was intoxicating. This scent. I'd only ever smelled it on the elite and powerful, it carried a peculiar allure. Where was the supposed fox musk? Could it be that the nine-tailed fox's cultivation was so profound it erased such traces? Puzzled, I kept walking. The cave gradually opened up, revealing a simple and elegant arrangement. Stone tables and chairs were scattered about, all carved from rock. This modest dwelling left me astonished. 1,000-year-old fiendish spirit, yet no show of opulence, more like a hermit's retreat in the wilderness. It seemed the nine-tailed fox had a reserved personality, far from the overbearing reputation of legend. Without Yin San Yang personally leading me here, I'd have mistaken this for the lair of some lower-level spirit creature. What did the nine-tailed fox truly look like? My curiosity deepened. My master once said she was stunningly beautiful, her whereabouts shrouded in mystery.